Alright, this is hopefully a quick tutorial on how to complete the Math 8 Exponent Retake ticket. For number one, we're multiplying powers with the same base. So the rule there, you keep the base and multiply the exponents. So x squared times x squared, you keep the base x, add the exponents. 2 plus 2 is 4. Same thing with the y's. Keep the base, 2 plus 4 is 6, and that 2 doesn't combine with anything. So that'll just be 2 x to the fourth, y to the sixth. In 2, the same thing. You combine all of the powers with the same base. So m, 4 plus 2 is 6. The n doesn't combine with anything. The 4 doesn't combine with anything. So that's pretty easy there. 3, we introduce negative exponents. So the a's will keep the base and we add the exponents. Negative 3 plus 4 is 1. So a to the first power we can just leave as a. B to the third doesn't combine with anything, and 3 doesn't combine with anything. So 3a, b to the third. Number 4. All right, so if we do have some coefficients to multiply, so we'll just say 4 times 3 is 12. We'll keep the base for the x's, and we'll add the exponents. 3 plus negative 4 is the same as 3 minus 4, so that's negative 1. Y, keep the base. 4 plus negative 1 is the same as 4 minus 1, which is 3. Notice it says that our answer should only contain positive exponents. So these negative exponents, we need to fix those. How you deal with negative exponents? They move to the other side of the fraction and they become negative. So notice the 12 and the y to the third, those are positive. They have positive exponents. So those will stay. The x is going to move to the bottom and its exponent becomes positive. So x to the negative first moved to the bottom and became positive. So it's now x to the first, which we just say is x. Okay. 5, we have our power product rule. So each thing inside the parentheses is going to be raised to the second power. 3 to the third power is 3 times itself 2 times, which is 3 times 3, which is 9. When we raise a power to a power, we keep the base and multiply the exponents. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Same thing with the y. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Same negative exponent rule. The negative exponents will move to the bottom and become positive. So 9 divided by x to the fourth, y to the eighth. On 6, same thing. The exponent on the outside applies to all things on the inside. 4 to the fourth power. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. 64 times 4, I believe, is 256. And then for the m and the n, you keep the base and multiply the exponents. Negative exponent rule. Positive exponents stay on the top. Negative exponents move to the bottom and become positive. Okay. 7, same thing. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. Y squared, x to the fourth. I kept the base, multiplied the exponents. Same thing here on 8. We include negative exponents now, which is fine. 3 to the negative third power. For right now, I'm just going to write as this, 3 to the negative third power. Here, keep the base, multiply the exponents. U to the negative sixth, v to the positive sixth. So notice, v to the sixth, that's a positive exponent, so that's going to stay on top. 3 to the negative third will move to the bottom and become positive. U will move to the bottom and become positive as well. The only thing I like to do is go ahead and simplify 3 to the third power. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So I have 27 u to the sixth on bottom, and I still have v to the sixth on top. So here we go, the last 4 on the front page. We introduce our division rule. The rule when dividing powers with the same base is you keep the base and subtract the exponents. So we'll get there in a second. The first thing we have to do, divide these coefficients. 4 divided by 2 is 2. I'm going to look at the m's now. Notice I have m to the third on top m on bottom. So remember, our rule is we keep the base and subtract the exponents. M to the third divided by m to the first, keep the base, subtract the exponents. 3 minus 1 is 2. So I have m squared, m to the second power. That's going to go on top because there were more m's on top than on bottom. So the n's are a little bit different because we use our negative exponent rule here. See the n to the negative second on bottom? We know that negative exponents move to the top and become positive. Okay, so there was already one n on the top. These two n's are going to move to the top and become positive. So I now have two more positive n's on top. So there was already one, there's two more. So now I have m to the third. And there's nothing left on bottom, so that's my answer there. Okay. For 10, I can simplify 2/4 to be 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and just put my 2 on bottom. The a's is kind of like the n's on the previous problem. A to the negative second on top, it's going to move to the bottom and become positive. So there were already 3 a's on bottom. The 2 from the top are coming down to the bottom and joining it. So I'll have a to the fifth on bottom. Now, when I look at the b's, they're both positive exponents, so I'll just use my division rule, keep the base, subtract the exponents. 3 minus 2 is 1, so I just have b on top. Okay. 11. 2/3 can't be simplified any further, so I'm going to leave it as 2/3. On top, I have x squared. On bottom, I have x to the fourth. The rule when you divide, keep the base, subtract the exponents. 4 minus 2 is 2, so I know it's going to be x squared. The question is, does it go on top or bottom? Well, there's more x's on bottom to start with, so I know that that's where I'm going to put x squared. I had y to the negative third on top, but negative exponents need to jump side of the fraction and become positive. So now I have y to the third power on bottom. 12. The 4 and the 4 cancel because 4 divided by 4 is 1. And n squared divided by n squared, that's the same thing on top and bottom, so I know that cancels. So the only thing I have left is the m's. There were already 2 m's on top to start. The m to the negative 1 on bottom is going to move to the top of the fraction and become positive, so that's a total of 3 m's. So m to the third power. Front side, not too bad. Back side gets a little trickier, but that's okay. Whenever I'm dealing with a exponent question that has a top and the bottom, and there's a lot of stuff happening, I always simplify the top, simplify the bottom. The top doesn't need to be simplified, so I'll go ahead and rewrite that. The bottom, however, does need to be simplified. First, I have 3 times 4, that's 12. I have an x to the fourth that doesn't combine with anything, so I have x to the fourth. Notice I have y to the third times y to the negative first. So keep the base, add the exponents. 3 plus negative 1 is positive 2. Now I just get to combine some stuff here. 4 divided by 12, that simplifies to be 1/4. Okay. X's, division rule. Keep the base, subtract the exponents. 4 minus 2 is 2. And since there's more on bottom, I'll keep x squared on the bottom. Same thing with the y's. Keep the base, subtract the exponents. 4 minus 2 is 2. And since there's more y's on top, that's where it stays. 14. The top doesn't change. The bottom becomes simplified. 4. The x's, keep the base, add the exponent. Negative 1 plus 4 is 3. Y to the fifth. 4 divided by 4 cancels. The only thing I need to do is combine my y's. 5 minus 3 is 2. And since there's more y's on bottom, that's where it'll stay. X to the third stays. Whoops. And there's nothing else left on top, so I put 1 as a placeholder. 15. Top doesn't change quite yet, so I'm just going to rewrite it. Bottom, simplify. 3 times 4 is 12. X times x, x squared. Keep the base, add the exponents, and y squared. So you'll notice some things here. 4 divided by 12, just like in problem 13, that simplifies to be 1/4. X squared divided by x squared cancels. Notice my y squared stays on bottom. The negative exponent moves to the bottom and becomes positive. So I had 2 y's on bottom. 2 more joined it, so now I have y to the 4th, placeholder of 1 on top. 16, let's simplify the top. 4x cubed y squared, bottom stays the same. Okay, 4 doesn't change. I have 3 x's on top, 1 on bottom. So keep the base, subtract the exponents, that's x squared. Notice I had y squared on top, y to the negative second on bottom. Those are going to move to the top and become positive. So that's a total of 4. Nothing left on bottom, so I don't need that. Just 4x squared y to the 4th. 17, whenever you have parentheses, I like to simplify that first, just like on the front side. The 2 goes to everything. 2 squared is 4. Keep the base, multiply the exponents, x to the 4th, y to the 4th. Now I just have product of powers, so the rule is keep the base, add the exponents. You'll notice when I combine the x's, 4 plus negative 4 is 0, and I know that anything raised to the 0 power is 1, so I can just ignore those because those cancel themselves out. Keep the base with the y, add the exponents. 4 plus negative 2 is 2, 4y squared. 18, keep the x and the y, apply this 3 to everything on the inside. 2 to the 3rd power is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Keep the base, multiply the exponents. Keep the base, multiply the exponents. I have x and 9, y to the 6th, and I have one extra x and y here. So the 8 will stay the same, but it becomes x to the 10th, y to the 7th. On 19, same thing. Apply that negative 3 everywhere. Keep the base, multiply the exponent. Positive 9, negative 6. So I will have 2. On the x's, keep the base, add the exponents. On the y's, keep the base, add the exponents. 2 plus negative 6 is negative 4. I need to move my negative exponent to the bottom, and it becomes positive. 20. This 2 gets applied everywhere. So x squared, keep the base, multiply the exponents. 4 times 2 is 8. Keep the base, multiply the exponents. Keep the base, multiply the exponents. X squared times x to the negative 8th. Keep the base, add the exponents. Same with y, keep the base, add the exponents. Negative exponent rule, x to the negative 6 moves to the bottom. Okay, just 4 more to go. 21, notice the top doesn't need to be simplified. The bottom does. Keep the base, multiply the exponents. A couple things are happening here. The y to the negative second on bottom moves to the top and becomes positive. The x to the negative 3rd moves to the bottom and becomes positive. The 2 stays right where it is. 22. I'm going to simplify the inside first. The 2's cancel. The y to the negative 1st moves to the bottom and becomes positive, so there are already 3 there, 1 more is joining it. And notice the x moves to the top and becomes positive. But notice we still have the negative 4 on the outside, so that's going to get applied to everything. So I have x to the negative 4th, y to the negative 16th, because you keep the base, multiply the exponents. These negative exponents are both going to flip sides and become positive. Y to the 16th, x to the 4th. Last 2. Bottom stays top stays the same. Apply this forward everywhere. So x to the 4th, y to the 12th. To simplify, 2 stays on top. Dividing the x's, keep the base, subtract the exponent. 4 minus 3 is 1. There's more x's on bottom, so it'll stay right there. Same thing with the y. Keep the base, subtract the exponent. 12 minus 4 is 8. And since there were more on bottom, it stays there. 24. Let's keep the top the same for now. Simplify the bottom by applying this 2 everywhere. 2 squared is 4. When I raise m to the 3rd to the 2nd, I keep the base, multiply the exponent. Same with the n. Keep the base, multiply the exponents. The 4 is going to stay on bottom. m to the 6th stays on bottom, the m to the negative 4th on top moves to the bottom and becomes positive. So now I have a total of 10 m's on bottom. Notice when I combine the n's, there's 4 on bottom, 3 on top. Keep the base, subtract the exponent. 4 minus 3 is 1. And there were more n's on bottom, so it stays right there. Nothing left on top, so I'll put a 1 as a placeholder there. All right, thank you very much. Hopefully that helps. Feel free to email me if you have any additional questions. Thank you.